Hello, my name is Dr. Amanda Ramirez. I am a doctor of physical therapy, specializing in all things breath, body, and beauty. I can help support you by offering you my expertise in enhancing fertility, beauty, and performance and function. Today, the anatomy of a shoe, while I'm showing you my fall haul of new shoes. You can see it and get a sense of how I select my shoes because of what's best for me. You can begin to understand the 4 elements of a shoe so that you can make the best shoe purchases for yourself and for your family. My first shoe, Vince Janelle slip-on sneaker. This is the sole. Everything that you see in white is the sole of this shoe, the bottom of it. It is pretty thick, just to give you reference, 2 fingers of thickness. In this shoe, I'm not going to feel a ton of the ground as I'm walking on it because the sole of this shoe is thick. The other thing is how flexible is the sole of your shoe. For me, this was both thick and immovable. That would not be the best shoe for me because I prefer to be able to have that capacity to move my foot. You do the twist test. You take the sole and you try and wring it out like a towel. If it moves and it wrings out like a towel, it's giving you an indication that your foot will be allowed to move side to side. And for me, that is something that I'm looking for because I like for my feet to feel that they can move. That is the sole of the shoe. And then the heel of the shoe, the difference between where my heel sits and where my toes sit is even. This is a completely flat shoe. There is maybe a little bit internally that is slightly more built up than the front, but for the most part, this is a very flat shoe. And for me, most of the days I am wearing the flattest shoe possible because I enjoy, for me to have full access to my calf. It will naturally strengthen and stretch your calf to be in a flat shoe if, really important if you have that length to have full capacity to be in a flat position with your foot. If you're someone who cannot tolerate that, you always need a heel. You're not going to be best served by just jumping into a flat shoe. There's a lot of corrective exercises to first do, like stretching your calf is a great start so that you can restore the length in your calf. From there, you can build up the strength and continue working on different functional exercises to improve your performance just simply by restoring your calf length. For me, I like for my sole of shoe to be flexible. I love for there to be minimal to no heel. So this is a flat shoe. Toe box is where my toes sit, but this is pretty wide. I love that my toes will be able to spread in this, and I do the toe spread test, which is where I wear the shoe, put it on, and feel if there's room for me to slightly spread my toes. So this passes my criteria for a wide toe box. Finally, the upper is everything that you see that is this beautiful tan suede. That is what's attaching this white sole to the rest of my foot. So that's what's keeping my shoe on. And for me, I love leather. I love suede because it's going to expand material that doesn't give. Those are the types of shoes where your foot will just rub up against those areas versus the material like a leather being able to give a little bit. This is the Donald's Pliner Reza loafer. I love me a good loafer, and oatmeal is one of my favorite colors. So this is like this bedazzled praline. A moment to appreciate the bedazzles. Okay, so in this shoe, let's go over the sole. Everything that is the bottom of this is the sole of the shoe. So compared to this and this sole is significantly thicker than this one. So this one is going to be a much thinner sole. So that already gets my foot a little closer to feeling the different textures and terrains that are under me. However, this sole, I don't want to twist this too much for the sake of the video and then pop one of my bedazzles off. As I have this embellishment here, actually there's not too much twisting inherently is taken away because the bedazzles create a stiffness on this aspect of the shoe. But if I just take the lower part of the shoe and twist it, there is enough twist that it's good enough for me, but this one had way more twist. But you can see the trade-off where thicker sole, but it twists more, thinner sole, but less pliable, less twistable. This is where cross-training comes in. If you know the concept of cross-training, today I'm gonna run and tomorrow I'm gonna swim. Today I'm gonna go to yoga. Tomorrow I am going to a cycling class. There's just this idea that you're constantly incorporating a variety of movements, a variety of sports, a variety of techniques, a variety of modalities, is this concept of cross-training. Think of your shoe choices in that fashion. Like, yes, sometimes I wear a stiffer sole that doesn't twist as much, but I'm usually balancing that out in my week or in my month with shoes that do have the option to twist more. Yes, the sole is thicker, and some days I wear a sole that's a little thinner. As long as my foot has breathing room within all four elements across all of my shoes, that's more what I care about than that every single shoe needs to meet a certain criteria all the time. The heel. Most people would look at this shoe and call it a flat. I would say there's a heel on this, and people would say, no, there's not. It's super insignificant. It's a flat shoe. My toes compared to where my heel is sitting, my heel is clearly sitting 2 fingers higher than the toes. There is an elevation of my foot when I wear this shoe compared to the heel of this one, which there is no change in elevation. This has a 2-finger heel on it. This shoe at the end of the day will make your calf tighter by simply having this tiny elevation. It's a trade-off I'm willing to make. I know that the majority of the time I'm in a flat shoe and that I stretch my calves, and I know that on days that I wear this one, I'll probably need to stretch my calf. It's not going to cancel out that you wore a heel all day, but it'll start to address the tension that can be created by wearing a shoe like this. Toe box. This toe box is much more narrow than this toe box. You can even see the overhang of this shoe up against this shoe. The other shoe disappears because this is a narrow toe box. The point in a shoe is often to elongate the silhouette. A good trade-off, if you're unwilling to buy a wider shoe or it's not for you just yet, try looking for what's called an almond toe to give you that tapered point if that's what you're looking for in the silhouette of your shoe and it's what you enjoy wearing from a style standpoint, but you are also wanting to focus on your foot health and improve your foot function, and you know that there's benefit to having a wider toe box because it allows those toes to sit in their more natural position. Start to widen your toe box. And finally, the upper. This is made of suede, of a leather. I usually choose a suede leather type of material because where there's narrowness, this material I know will give and expand over time, whereas a more synthetic material is not going to respond that way typically, and that's where you're going to get those rubbing points on your foot because the material of the shoe of the upper is not giving. I'll give you my third fall haul, which you may find unexpected given all this flatness, but so obsessed with this platform clog. It is Vince Camuto, and I'm in love. So let's talk about it. This is probably some elements of a bit of plastic and a little bit of rubber down here. So this is going to be what the sole is. This actually is thinner. This sole is thinner on the front than this one in this shoe. However, doesn't move at all. I cannot twist this shoe. The sole of my foot is not going to be able to really appreciate the terrain and texture underneath it because this is very stiff and unflexible, and it's not any material that I would feel what's underneath me. So that is the sole. Most people would think that this is a heel, right? So I wanted to put these side by side. Both of these are a heel. They both shorten your calf, clearly to different degrees, but this still will create calf tension and tightness at the end of the day. This will certainly create more calf tension and tightness at the end of the day, but it's not to say that this is a completely flat shoe. There's still a heel on it, and once you recognize that, you'll better be able to understand if you're experiencing back pain. And I say, well, how often are you wearing heels? And you think, never, because I never wear these. But you may not consider this a heel, but it is. It's a component of your shoe that is creating a shorter and likely tighter calf. And if you're having back pain, if you're having hip pain, knee pain, a tight calf can really be the thing that holds you back from making improvement. So consider yourself informed about what a heel is. Whenever the heel sits higher than the toes, the shoe is putting you in an elevated heel. Any amount of distance, whether it's a millimeter or 5 inches, is a heeled shoe. We have the toe box. Anytime that I am in a heeled shoe like this, I don't like to also put my toes in a really compromised closed position. If it's just a strap, I always make sure it's leather so that it can expand. And in this case, this is a pretty wide toe box. It's probably just a little wider than this one, but this one is going to still be the wider toe box. Finally, the upper. The upper of this, there is no back loop. So this is all the upper. This is made of leather and suede. I invest in that level of shoe so that it expands with me. The thing about not having the upper fully connected to your foot is that can create the need to, in the shoe, to constantly be clenching your toes to keep your shoe on. If you did nothing as you were walking along, you can imagine that it's really easy for the shoe to fall off your foot. Why wouldn't it? There's not much holding it. Just the test of, can you lift your foot up and would the sole stay attached? Think about a flip-flop. If I put a flip-flop on, this is my foot, if I put a flip-flop on and I lifted my foot up off the ground and did nothing, the flip-flop would fall like this, because the only thing holding it, the upper of a flip-flop, are just those two little straps on the top. Those are the upper of a flip-flop. So it's not very intricate or involved in trying to keep the sole of the shoe attached to the sole of your foot. And thus, there's tension you need to generate to kind of suck the shoe onto you. That is the disadvantage of when you have an incomplete upper, is that there's going to be some level of foot tension trying to keep the shoe on. Otherwise, it would fling off, fly off. If you're already having things like plantar fasciitis, foot pain, choosing a shoe that's demanding that you're constantly clenching the foot to keep it on can aggravate the condition. Those are the 4 elements of a shoe. Sole, the sole, the sole, the heel, the heel, heel, the toe box, and the toe box, and the toe box, the upper, and the upper, the upper. One thing that you may be surprised to not have heard me talk about is arch support. If you're interested in me talking about that, if you have any questions about shoes and foot function, let me know. I have a secret for you. Getting your foot health to point where it's contributing to the whole function of your leg is going to be key to developing nice and toned legs and developing volume in your glutes. To keep learning more on this topic, check out my video, Shoe Choices to Grow Your Glutes. If you are interested in creating more tone in your leg and growing your glutes, adding volume, these are points of focus and protocols that I have in my virtual course, Lymphatic System Beauty Secrets, available for purchase anytime on my website, www.amandaramirez.dpt.com.